What's going on, guys? Welcome back. My name is Dustin, and last time we were here, what we did is we gave our player the ability to knock back our enemies. That way, he's not every time we hit him, he's not constantly moving forward towards us and closer and making it harder to hit. He just kind of gets knocked back a little bit. So now, what I want to do, since we have the ability to kill off our enemies, I want to create some sort of leveling system so that when we kill off an enemy, we get a certain amount of experience, we go up in level, we get stronger, whatever the case. So, right now what I want to do is I just want to start setting all of that up. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new C# script, and I'm going to call this player stats. And before I do anything with this, I'm going to go onto our canvas right here, and I'm going to create a new element on it. I'm going to go right click on it. I'm going to say UI text. So if I scroll out to our canvas, I'm going to put this up here in this right hand corner. And all this is going to do is just display what level we are currently on. So I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger so you can see it. I'm going to change the text to level colon 1. Can't really see it in our game, so I'm going to set the color to a solid black. I'm going to bring the font size up a bunch to about right there. And that should be good. So now what I want to do is I want to anchor this to the top right corner, just like that, so it stays up in this corner. And I'm going to go ahead and center this from top to bottom, but I'll keep it on the left hand side of the text box. So I'll make this a little bit bigger. So now what I want to do is I'm going to rename this to player stats, and I'm going to add our new C# script to that player stats element. So now let's go ahead and open up our script, and we're going to give it a couple of variables for right now. The first thing we want is a variable for our level. So we're going to say public int, and we're going to call it the player level. And just by default, we're going to set it to 1. Let's see, the next thing that we are going to need, we're going to need to keep track of how much experience we have. So we're going to say public int current exp, and then what else do we want to do? So what I want to do first off is I want to just display our level onto our screen. So I'm going to go ahead and add up at the very top, we're going to say using Unity Engine .ui, and we are going to go just below our player level, and we're going to set a public text, and this is going to be called level text. So right away, I want to set that to whatever this is going to be, or whatever our level is. So we're going to say level text dot text is equal to player level dot toString, just like that. And we have to add this toString here because the text element, the text component here, only takes strings in the code, and our player level is an int. So we have to basically convert it to a string for it to display this number here. Another way we can do this is we can, if we get rid of this toString, we can just go ahead and right away give 2 blank quotation marks and then add a plus. And that will basically say this is the string that we are adding into it, and then we want to add on that int to that string. So we're actually going to do it this way instead, because we do want it to say this level string here, and then this one is going to be our int variable. So we're going to say in these quotation marks, we're going to say why am I spelling this out for you? I'm sure you guys know how to spell. Apparently I do not. So, so we're going to say level colon space. And we put this space here because if we do not have this, it is going to basically be displayed like this. Wow, I really cannot spell. It will be displayed like that directly after the colon, and we want it to just have a little space like that in there. So we add that space inside of the string, and that will fix that. So let's go ahead and save that really quick. Go back into Unity, and just for demonstration purposes, I'm actually going to erase this, and I'm going to type in what's my level. Just for demonstration, so that we see that right at the start, this is going to change to whatever we set it to in the code. So if we hit play, right at the start, it should change to what's my level. It didn't change. That is because we did not actually set what our text is. So on our player stats, what we can do is right here where it says level text, we are going to just drag this component here into that slot, like that. And alternatively, you can just drag this entire section here into that slot, and it'll do the same thing. So now that we are actually referencing that text component, let's hit play and watch this again, and there it is. So level 1, perfect. That is exactly what we want. So now, what I want to do, what I want to do now is back on our player stat script. Let's start working on the experience aspect of it. What we're going to do is we are going to create an array of ints. So we're going to say public int and then 2 square brackets just like that, and that'll create an array of ints that we can use. And basically what an array is it allows you to basically make a list of a bunch of different elements using the same variables. So what we can do is we're going to say exp to level up, like that. And then I want to set also a maximum level that we can reach. So we're going to make a public int max level. And let's go ahead and set that to, let's say, 100. So let's save that and take a look at our array really quick. So basically what I want to do is, once this finishes compiling, on this here, so we have this EXP to level up with this little drop down arrow now, and the size is set to 0. So what we can do is we can set that to 100 for our max level, and we have all of these different elements now that we can set a certain experience amount that we need to be able to level up. So take note that it starts off on element 0, not element 1. So we set it to size 100, but if we scroll all the way down, it only goes up to element 99, and that's because we're starting on element 0. So element 0 is basically position 1, element 1 is position 2, so on and so forth. So what we can do is with this first position, this is going to be our player level 1, and we don't need any experience to be on level 1. We're going to start off on level 1 with 0 experience. So we're going to say that element 1 being position 2, we're going to set that for it being level 2, and the amount that we need to level up to level 2 is, let's just say, 1000 experience. So let's go back into Visual Studio really quick. And what I want to do, so I want to go ahead and set our int array to always be whatever this max level is. Instead of just changing it here and here at the same time, because if, for instance, later on in development we decide that we want 200 levels, we would also have to change this here as well, and it's just a little bit more to do. So I'm just going to set that right away here. So in our start function, what I want to say is exp to level up is equal to a new int array, oh, wrong brackets, the square brackets, and that int array, what we want is we want it to be our max level. And then now, if we save that, go back into Unity, what we can do is if we change this here, is let's set it to 500 and hit play, right away our size here should change to 500. So perfect, that's exactly what we want. So now what happened here is our experience to next level that we set up here, it disappeared. And that's because we changed this array here. So what I also want to do is I want to create a base experience to start off with on what we need to level up. So we're going to say public int base exp, and we're going to go ahead and set that to 1000. So now on our array, what I want to do is I want to set that first element, or excuse me, the second element, element 1, position 2, to be that 1000. So we're going to say exp to next level array at position 1, or element 1, position 2, and that is going to be equal to our base exp, just like that. So now what we can do is we can use that base exp to kind of work out all of these other requirements to move to the next level. So what we could do is we could set, so if we want to move to level 2, we need to have 1000 experience. If we want to move to level 3, maybe we need 1500 experience. To move on to level 4, let's say 2500 experience. And we can do that all throughout this entire deal here. But that's a lot of groundwork, and there's a much quicker way of setting what these numbers are. And the way we can do that is using a what's called a for loop. And what a for loop is it basically looks at an array, and it looks at every element of that array, and it loops through that entire section, and it runs code based on different changes that are made. So in our start function, I want to set what all of those are. So what we can do is we can say for, and then parentheses, we need to set the int that we're using, and we're gonna call it I equals 0. So for int I equals 0, semicolon, and if I is less than our exp to level up dot length, then I plus plus. So what that's doing, it is setting our int for each element. It's checking to see if that element number is less than our the length of our array. Then I plus plus will move it to the next element, but only if it's shorter than the length of this here. So if it reaches the end and it is no longer the length of our array, it'll stop running the code. So inside of this for loop, what we want to do, so I want to go ahead and just say our exp to next level, or to level up, at position I is equal to let's see, our exp to level up at the last position. So we're going to say I minus 1. And we're going to multiply that by 1.05. So what that's going to do is it's going to take the last position before whatever position it's looking at, and it's going to multiply it by 1.05 and set our the current level that it's looking at to that number. So we're getting this error here because this number here is a float number, and we have this variable here set as an int, and an int cannot have decimals. So what we need to do to fix that is we need to use a math function here, and it's called, what we need to type in is math f dot floor to int. And what floor to int does is it'll take a float, and if it has any decimals at all on the end of it, it'll just take them off and convert it into an int. So we're going to say floor to int, and we need to wrap this in to a couple of brackets here, and we can end it with a semicolon. You know something? I do not actually want this to start at level 0, because what it's trying to do is trying to look at element 0, and then right here it's trying to look at before element 0, which there is nothing there. So basically what I want to do is I want to set it to our second level. So we're going to say element 2, which is going to be level 3, right? So yeah, element 0 right here, which is basically level 2. So it's going to look at this number, it's going to look back at this number and multiply this number by 1.05, and it should add this number to whatever that is, and then so on and so forth for all of the next ones. So, why is it still giving me, oh, you know something? We have to put the F here, because what it was doing is if we just hover over this, it's saying that it cannot convert a double to float. So it's assuming this is a double, which is not what we want it to be. We want it to be a float. So just like that. So let's go ahead and save that. Go back into Unity. Let it compile. And let's see if this works. So if we go ahead and hit play here, all of these hopefully will be filled with a bunch of different experience levels or amounts of experience that we need to reach in order to get to the next level. So that's perfect, except we don't want this to be set to 1,000 anymore. We want it to be 100 for now. So let's hit play again and look at all of our levels, and perfect. Why is this not resetting to 100? Oh, that's because we have this still set to 500. That's what I needed to change, not the size itself. So if this is still set to 1,000 and we set our max level to 100, now it should update our size with no problems. Perfect. So yeah, perfect. So what's good about this is, so we could have set all of these individually, but like I said, that was a lot of legwork that we didn't necessarily want to do. And oh, I wanted this to be set to 1,000, like that. So that'll be a lot of legwork, just trying to come up with a bunch of different levels of experience that we need. But if you look at this, this is actually a pretty solid curve here. It starts off, you only need a little bit more to progress to the next level. But as we get farther and farther and farther down, that gap gets a little bit bigger. For instance, if we want to move from this level to this level, it's a good, what, 600-700 extra experience points that we need. And if we wanted to get all the way up here, that's a lot more than where we started. So it's got a pretty solid curve, and it makes it just a little bit harder and harder to get to the next level as we progress to the next level. So I think in the next video, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be making it so that we can actually utilize these different levels of experience in here and grow our current level itself. So if you are enjoying the series, please be sure to like and subscribe down below. Hit the bell notification icon so that you can get notified every single time I release a new video. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the series. Let me know if there's something that you would like to see in this series. And I'll try and implement whatever I can. But until then, I will see you next time.